In the previous video lecture, we have seen about what is microprocessor, the features of 8085 microprocessor and architecture of 8085 microprocessor. I hope that you guys have seen the features of the microprocessor that they have used in your mobile phones and PCs. So in today's video lecture, we are going to see about the addressing modes of 8085 microprocessor and the instruction set of it. So if you want your processor to perform some functions, you have to write a program for it. So the programming language now we use for the advanced microprocessors would be like C, C++ or any of these higher level languages. So but for 8085 microprocessor, we will use assembly language programs, which means assembly language instructions. Shortly it is known as ALP. The commands that we use to write a program is known as instructions. Okay. The way we represent the operands are known as addressing modes. So the instructions are nothing but the codes or commands that we use to write the program. So here we used to call them as instruction sets. Shortly we will see in detail about these instruction sets. The addressing modes are nothing but the different ways that the processor follows to access the operands is known as addressing modes. The operands are also called as data. So addressing modes are nothing but the different ways that the processor follows to access the operands is known as addressing modes. So here in 8085 microprocessor, we are having 5 addressing modes. The first addressing mode is immediate addressing mode. Second one is register addressing mode. Third one is direct addressing mode. Fourth one is indirect addressing mode, and fifth one is implied addressing mode. We are going to see about these 5 addressing modes in detail. First, we will see about the immediate addressing mode. So as I told you before, the addressing modes are nothing but the different ways that the processor follows to access the operands. So operands are nothing but the input values. So the immediate addressing mode is nothing but if you mention in the instruction your data or operand is known as immediate addressing mode. If you mention your operands which is nothing but 8 or 16-bit data as a part of an instruction, it is known as immediate addressing modes. So operands as like 8-bit or 16-bit data. If you mention this data as a part of instruction, then it is known as immediate addressing mode. For example, if you want to store a value, 8-bit value in the accumulator register, you can use this example. For example, MVI A, 85. Here I want to store this 85 value in the accumulator register, which resides in the microprocessor. This we have seen in the previous video lecture. Here 85 is the operand which we want to move into the accumulator. So don't worry about this instruction. In detail we will see in the next lecture. So this instruction, in the instruction itself I have mentioned my operand. So it is known as immediate addressing mode. So this, after the execution of this instruction, the 85 value will be moved into the accumulator. Here 85 is an 8-bit data. So how it is can be called as 8-bit data? So you have to represent this 8 in BCD mode, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0. So this will give you the value of 8, and this 5 you have to write it as 0, 1, 0, 1. So BCD code. Fine. So immediate addressing mode is nothing but you have to mention immediate mode is nothing but you have to mention the operand, that is 8 or 16-bit data, in the instruction itself. So that is called as immediate addressing mode. So next we will see about the direct addressing mode. Consider that you have stored the value 85 that we have used in the previous example. You have stored that 85 value in a memory. Consider this as your stack of memory. This is stored here, 85. The stack is a location of memory. Sorry, a stack is a collection of memory. Each and every location in a stack is represented by the 16-bit data. So each and every location in the memory is mentioned by a 16-bit hexadecimal value. For example, this location is mentioned by the address value 2554. The next location address is 25555. Next location is 2556. So likewise the stack will grow. So now what you have to do is, I have to move this 85 value into a register A. Okay. So for that I have to use the instruction LDA 25555. So what this instruction will do, it will store the value that is present in this memory location into the accumulator register. So this is known as direct addressing mode. The address of the value is mentioned in the instruction itself. Here the 2555 is nothing but the address of this 85 value. So the direct addressing mode is nothing but address of the operand is mentioned in the instruction. Okay. So in the previous one, in the immediate addressing mode, the operand itself is mentioned in the instruction. Here in direct addressing mode, the address of the operand is mentioned in the instruction. Don't worry about this instruction. We will see in detail in the next lecture. So next we are going to see about the register addressing mode. So in register addressing mode, the operand will be placed in a register and that register will be mentioned in the instruction. For example, move A, B. This is an example for register addressing mode. Here, if I want to move the value 85 to accumulator, this 85 will be stored in the B register and that register is mentioned in the instruction. So the register addressing mode is nothing but the register that is having the operand will be mentioned in the instruction. Next we are going to see about the indirect addressing mode. So there is a slight difference between the direct addressing mode and indirect addressing mode. In direct addressing mode, the address of the operand is mentioned in the instruction, that is direct addressing mode. So as in indirect addressing mode, the address will be mentioned in the instruction, but in a different way. That address will be placed in a register and that register will be mentioned in the instruction. For example, LDAX B. Here this 85 will be stored in a memory and that memory address is 2555. So this 2555 is mentioned in the instruction in direct addressing mode. In indirect addressing mode, this 2555 will be mentioned in the register pair. So as mentioned in this example, here the B will be BC will be having the value 2555. So the value in this location is 85, that will be moved to the accumulator. So the detailed explanation for this instruction we will see in the next video lecture. So now just know what is indirect addressing mode. Indirect addressing mode is nothing but the address of the operand is mentioned in the will be stored in the register pair and that register pair will be mentioned in the instruction. So why we are using register pair in this case? Because the address values are of 16-bit. So the register pair capacity is 16-bit. We can't store this 16-bit in an 8-bit register. So we are using a register pair to store the address values. So the last addressing mode is implied addressing mode. So the implied addressing mode does not have any operand field, as we have seen in the previous addressing modes. It will just have the mnemonics. So mnemonics are nothing but the operations to be performed. So the example for this type of addressing modes are RAL, NOP. So RAL is an instruction which is nothing but rotate accumulator left, which does not have any operand field here. It just mentions the operation to perform. The operation to be performed here is rotation, and NOP is no operation. When you execute this instruction, the processor will not perform any operations. That is a function of this one. And for this instruction also there is no operands. So again I am telling, don't worry about the internal operation of these instructions. We will see in the next lecture. So as a summary, again we will see about the addressing modes. The first addressing mode is immediate addressing mode, where the input operand will be mentioned directly in the instruction itself. Either it can be an 8-bit or 16-bit operand. So the second addressing mode is direct addressing mode, where the address of the operand, which means the address of the input operand, is mentioned in the instruction itself. So the next addressing mode is register addressing mode, where the input operand will be mentioned in the register and that register is mentioned in the instruction. And fourth addressing mode is indirect addressing mode, where the address of the operand is mentioned in the register pair and that register pair is mentioned in the instruction. So last one is implied addressing mode, where the operand field will not be there, the mnemonics only will be there in the instruction. So that's all about addressing modes. So next we will see about the instruction sets of 8085 microprocessor.